I get that from somebody I watch on YouTube. His name is Amit. Once again, Amit. Volunteer community. He be like, good morning. He be like, yeah, it'd be a nice morning. So we got in here at 9:36. We a little off. Prefer 9:30ish. I prefer 9:30ish or sooner. At least get it set up. We're a little late because the market. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Disclaimer before I get into our disclaimer. The market is opening up red, so I was looking at that before I came in here. I was just trying to see where everything was going, as I figured everything was going down due to recent actions. So, where's my book? Yeah, disclaimer up. I hope y'all weekend was well. I hope your weekend. I'll talk to you all on Friday. I just hope you had a good weekend, really, and everything is going smooth in life. You know, as one of my favorite motivators would say, "What's going on off that microphone?" You know, young Dolph. So I understand we have real life things going on, but we got some topics to talk about. These two topics came off of LinkedIn, though. The first two came off LinkedIn. I wanted to jump on the mic and just do a random screen, but I'm like, I had to go to some birthdays, some 1-year-old birthdays. So I appreciate family a lot. So, but I understand some sacrifice about to come soon. Again, when we want to take this to the next level. So, let's say the not live, the disclaimer. Then we can get started. Where is it? You know, I always have a problem finding stuff. Wi-Fi moving good today, though. It's moving real good. Okay, disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with specialists at the institution that you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. So, with that being said, let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna start with better and less expensive. So I was scrolling on LinkedIn and it was a post by the chancellor or one of the chancellors, unless they got multiple, but definitely one of the chancellors at University of Minnesota. So the chancellor has said, per her post, what happens when dozens of campuses gather to? What happens when I'm gonna put it in the chat? I'm gonna put it in the chat because wait, I don't want to click that. You saw they try to make you click stuff. I thought it was funny. Thought it was funny on LinkedIn. I really did. I thought it was really funny. Because just what I'm about to post. This is like the first part of it. So, where is it? So, she was like, what happens when dozens of campuses gather to integrate the 120 credit habit or not integrate, to interrogate the 120 credit habit and imagine better and less expensive pathways for students. They say they want to interrogate it. I didn't like that, first and foremost. And then it was like, it's like an event, first and foremost. She was at some event. I believe this event is called College in 3 Exchange. I don't know much about the event. I just saw that and then went to town. because I was like, it said this week's College in 3, Coven at the University of Minnesota Rochester offered an answer, a transformative conversation from Doug. They got their name on here, candidate opening on the current moment to to the assessment workshop with some names, and then the message was unmistakable. Cost and quality can advance together when the conversation is faculty led and evidence anchored. I didn't like that because she's a high rank chancellor. Chancellors are very high rank, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Let me see. Because I'm going to look up, because this is all part of organizational structure in higher ed. Like, colleges structure it different, but a chancellor could be real high at a school, or they could just be considered kind of like normal in some cases. Like, have a high position, but still don't make up for it. So, where does the chancellor? I'm looking at something right now, guys. Y'all gonna be like, what? So, hopefully it's a picture. Because I believe it's something related to faculty. I'm not even gonna get this. Let me see. So you got the board of regents, usually a university president, vice president of student affairs, right? Vice president of academic affairs, vice president of finance, and then that's not helping us right there. That's a good structure though, but that's not the one we're looking for. The chancellor. Let's see if we can answer. Wait up. There you go. It says a chancellor is the leader of the university, the executive head of the university. The chancellor is the academic and thought leader who leads the charge of the university, the CEO of the university, and who is the major fundraiser of the university. So, was that the president of the college? I have no idea if that was the president of the college, but they labeled themselves as the chancellor. And so, when they said this part right here, I didn't like it because they know, okay, so LinkedIn is consist of so-called professionals. I say so-called professionals because these professionals have information, but they don't speak on it. Because in higher ed, some people, it gets a little political, I guess, but some higher ed professionals, sorry about that loud noise, that's outside. And so some professionals can't say certain things or speak how they really feel in my career field, talking to other professionals behind the scenes. And so it's interesting because, you know, we just talked about the University of Minnesota, first and foremost. We just talked about them, right? And we just talked about how much they were, We actually came across like they were raising their tuition rates, right? So when they said this, I just put it in the chat. So they said the message was unmistakable. Cost and quality can advance together when the conversation is faculty-led and evidence-anchored. I didn't like that because, and then I'll add on another one. Now they said they had a third convening, and it's about the organization that they're at, the event, doing the workshop. Cool. But this part says, in addition to what I just read, it said, my takeaway is clear, as she said, affordability, transformative, I'm used to saying no, we say transformative leaders. Yeah, transformative leaders. We read about that a lot in my graduate program. Affordability, transformative learning, and increased completion are not opposing goals, but inseparable imperatives. Okay, affordability, right? Now, I didn't like it instantly because I reposted it once again because I reposted it with some comments. University of Minnesota just raised their tuition rates for undergraduates and for graduate students. And so I'm not getting on University of Minnesota, but this is what we talk about misled. Like, that's not organic. That's not organic because you're saying that you want to be affordable, transformative, right? You can't be affordable and transformative if you're raising the prices on the students. They are raising it by like 4% to 6% and 7%, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 4 to 7% being raised on tuition at the University of Minnesota. And it's not saying that you still can't go there. It's not saying that. Because, once again, we had the disclaimer. It's saying like that's misleading. Because getting back to professionals being on LinkedIn, there are other professionals on here that might be obsessed with University of Minnesota and want to go to the University of Minnesota. But like I said, they might be a professional in another industry, but they might not be a professional in higher education. So they're raising the tuition, but saying they want to be affordable. You can't do that. That doesn't make sense. That's like me saying, I can help you get a debt-free degree or show you how to get a debt-free degree in college, and I never did it. That's exactly what they're saying. But they're saying it in like, well, not that, but they're saying like in their context, oh, we're affordable school. And we raise our tuition rates though. They didn't mention that part, even though they could have said like, even though because this the chancellor, first and foremost. She could have said, hey, even though we're raising our tuition rates here at the University of Minnesota, because that got a lot of backlash per source. Like, once again, everything I say, I usually get it from somewhere. Unless I'm going to say it's opinionated or a theory, because let me bag out. I want to go to it again because it wasn't even really. It was their news outlet in Minnesota, and so I put that in there on LinkedIn as well. I be wanting people to comment on my post on LinkedIn, but nobody comments on my post, and so I be really reposting stuff on LinkedIn, but nobody gives me that publicity we want, right? Hold on. Because I definitely want to go to it. It was considered very controversial, and they didn't mention it. Like she don't have to mention it like every post, but she could have mentioned it at least like, hey, we just raised it. But they're portraying it like, oh, we're striving to be affordable. And we're striving to like, that's why they write the strategic plans. I don't know if anybody ever read a strategic plan for a college. I wouldn't expect nobody to. I didn't start reading strategic plans until working and going to graduate school. We had to make a strategic plan too. How would it be? And we had to use words like, future words or past tense words. You couldn't use words that can hold you accountable and get sued. And so, where's my post? Let me see something, y'all. My post ain't showing, and I'm getting a little upset. And I saw one about University of Missouri, but I'm trying to go to the article. Oh, gosh, bear with me. My computer is being very stubborn, like a little kid. It does that though on that live screen for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, this the chancellor though. They posted this, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I don't know why they keep doing posts like that. And then I'm wondering what they're talking about once again at these workshops. And it's not even being funny, it's being serious because you're not really striving to lower prices. And I get it. it's okay if you want to raise your prices. I was like, University of Minnesota is private, but they were public. They're a public institution. I was like, oh, you are. So then I said, I could talk about you all. Because if you was private, I won't say nothing. I have nothing to say to a private school once again. Come on, computer. I want to get to that post. We ain't done with it. By far, we not done with that post. That post had me. Here it go. It's running. I don't know why it be doing that. It's trying to run from me. Let me see if I can click on it. If I can click on it from right here, I won't worry about it. Okay. But that's not mine. Oh, there you go. Mine's is right here. This is what I want. I'm almost there, y'all. So it was took a few seconds, but it was the Minnesota Daily. Shout out to them because I thought it was gonna have to pay. Thought I was gonna have to pay for it. And so the person who wrote this is by Hannah Reynolds and Sarah Utson. It was published June 19, 2025. The University of Minnesota approves operating budget, controversial tuition hikes, and academic program cuts. Literally, they had program cuts as well. I knew it was something else. Program cuts and tuition hikes. And then you're going to say we're looking for affordable pathways? That's a contradiction. Literally, that's why I say like it's like what's going on in media today. Like how media is misleading, not truthful sometimes, right? It's the same thing in higher education, except they're giving you false marketing. Like that is literally false marketing. So our school has the best prices, They won't even say our school has the best prices. They'll say our school is ranked. That's one thing I will credit the last administration, Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, if I said his last name right. He did say that. He did say he didn't like schools being ranked because they use it as a marketing tactic to say, oh, we have the best. Schools will be like, we have the top 25 best tuition rates. It would be like, okay, who are the other 25 schools that you're competing against in tuition rates? But we don't never ask that or go that far. We just be like, oh, this school has the best, this school has the top 25 tuition rates. And you never go do the research. Once again, it's just like the stock market. If you don't go do the research and see who the competitors are, you think you're getting a good deal, but you're not. And so that's how I would say, like, I guess that's how I compare colleges sometimes. Like, I take the information I like to do for stocks a little bit. Not saying I'm an expert, but it helps me a lot when researching in graduate school, plus knowing how to research it now, like checking the strategic plan, checking their tuition rates, checking their leadership, seeing how their leadership posts on social media. I'm like, I always ask, like, has anybody ever just sat down and been able to meet the presidents or these high-ranking people? And it's like, no. And some people might say, well, should they? You should have an idea. Have an idea who you want to talk to, like know your president at least, or know the vice president of the college. You don't gotta know them, like talk to them and every year, just one time. I feel like a few times out each semester. So, and what else they said in here was, what else they had in here? I want to say that was all, but it was just like they really saying, oh, we're going to be affordable, transformative. Like, no, that's not innovation. That's stagnation. Like, at its best. And which leads into the last one we're going to talk about is higher education, a bubble. I always speculated it, personally, with all the money being borrowed. And you might say, like, once again, it goes back. History always repeats itself. History always repeats itself. Now, it would make me think, what would I do in this situation, right? Because I'm in this career field. I do plan on taking the job. Like, once again, this does not pay the bills yet. But it makes me think, could higher education have a bubble? But I'm not skipping. I'm just saying that's gonna be a good topic. That's gonna be where whoever's sending this chat with me, I would love some input and bring some people, because it's really gonna speculate. It's a lot of debt. $1 trillion of debt. It's just like the housing bubble. I would definitely say higher education is a bubble. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. And so University of Minnesota, once again, they're not the only school. Overall, schools do this all the time. And just pay attention. Like if you see a school say, oh, we're ranked top, once again, top 20 in on campus amenities prices or something that I have on there. They're using like top this, top that, top this. They're not showing you the vivid sticker price. And schools like, not schools, outlets like the Chronicle of Higher Education, Inside Higher Ed, and many more. There's a lot of them out there, but they talk about the sticker price of, this is a big topic in higher education. This is not just me. I would say I'm the only person who's putting it on camera and bringing it back to you, but it's a big like thing. And a lot of people, I'm not gonna, once again, I say it's a very lucrative field, right? Higher education, you get paid. Like most people in this career are getting paid. So they don't want to come on camera and talk like this. This is considered, higher education is a very delicate career field. Having a military background and doing JRTC in high school, they're a little nice and political in the higher ed field, right? This is, no, you can't say that or do that. This is, they don't need to know that. And I'm like, they are like the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, like parents, students, other businesses who want to send like their workers to the schools, like they know we're not advertising good prices. You do know that, right? They do know like, they do know it costs a house to go to college. You do know that, right? And that's why I get mad at like the student affairs side. I'm more in touch with student affairs in higher education. That's why I get mad at them. They're still using models from like 1970 and 80 some, or 1970 to 90 some, early 2000s, when college was affordable. Now, when college was affordable, you could do the things you're doing with these marketing tactics and like we have the best rank this and that. But now you have to be very upfront with people. You have to be like, that's why I love the company Palantir, just giving a heads up, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to invest in this company, I'm not. But the company, prime example, is a very big company, right? They generate a lot of money, but that company did not have a sales team. That's the moral of the story of it. They didn't have a sales team. Why? Because their product was so good that we don't have to sell you something if we really believe in it. And that's how I feel about a 2-year college. 2-year college is such a good start for you. I don't have to sell you on it. I can show you the price and show you the price of a university. And that's going to make you be like, oh, this is common sense. Even if you plan on going to an Ivy League or whatever school after your 2-year, because students who are very good today, they allegedly say students not going to college who are bright. And I see videos on kids in the UK. I see videos on kids here in America. They're like taking a break from school, per se. Oh, no, they'll take a break from college. Like if they start in college early, for example, and they'll say, oh, I'm going to work on the business. It's sponsored by the ultra rich or something, for example. Like it'll be like a billionaire, and then they'll invest in the kids' project. Like some of these kids have high school projects that they are launching as businesses in high school. So yeah, that's what we getting at, right? And so these colleges have to start, like, if they want to get more students and bolster their enrollment. Now, if I say this in an interview, they'll eat this up and like right now on the live stream. But if I post it on on LinkedIn, which is a form of social media, but if I say this in an interview, I don't know. I think this scares them because like you just have to. That will bolster enrollment. That will build the pipeline. Like, oh, this school is so upfront. I got the prices up front. I knew how much I need to save for. It wasn't all the other, like, yeah, you need to know your financial aid if you get it. But I just say keep in mind, if you do qualify for any financial aid, it's just going to be a really big discount. That's it. And so you get the price up front. And they're like, now look, this is your price up front. Now, this doesn't include any scholarships you might get. This doesn't include your financial aid or any other grants and aids you might get along the way. So that is something they have to really consider, because it's so confusing. Now they be like, oh, this is what your net calculator says, net this, net that. And it's like, truthfully, they do need to see that. It's a net. It's a fruit fly, man. Yeah, I know fruit fly. We in Georgia, so we get a lot of those in apartments and houses. I don't know why. So the University of Minnesota and all these other schools, for example, they always say that it's never the truth. And then we talked about that in graduate. I literally just took a class on that. It's just about saying what you plan to do in the future, but never do it. And then they don't speak on it. When has a college, think about it. When has a college ever admitted not hitting numbers? When has a college ever admitted not being successful at something? It's just like people on, because I got kicked off Instagram. No, not taking it personal, nothing. I got banned off Instagram. But, being banned off Instagram is pretty motivating. Made me want to keep going harder. But just like on Instagram, prime example, you have all these people posting success, right? But they never post the failures, right? Like me, I tell you, like, where it go? Y'all see that? I tell you now, like, my car used to break down on me. Dang, it's really fighting me today. I guess he's mad. Like, my car used to break down on me. Sorry about the clapping. My car used to break down on me while on the pursuit of getting my debt-free degree. And so it wasn't always sunny days. It wasn't always beautiful. Like, working your way to a debt-free degree is, I would say, difficult because you have to sacrifice a lot of things. Like, I'll never forget a Georgia Tech student asked me, she was like really impressed. That's one thing I like about Georgia Tech students. They're just very like curious. That's the only difference between, like, I guess, prestige school students and not prestige school students. Those students are just curious. They ask questions. Like, they don't matter, like, they don't have the, oh, I go to Georgia Tech stigma. They are more curious about, like, for example, like, I wonder how they got this perspective and they lived it and did it. So they really used to ask me questions because they was like, you work full time to go to graduate school? Just giving you an example on the path to this debt-free, like getting a debt-free degree right now for my master's. And they was like, you work and go to school? And I was like, yeah, I work full time and go to school online. And then she asked me, she was like, how do you manage the time? And I was like, well, I don't have friends. I feel like at this point I have brothers, and I have brothers, sisters, people who are close to me. I made a video on that probably like a year ago, I think now. It's about keeping your circle small. And I was telling her, like, it's a lot of distractions, and you have to really, like, especially if you want to stay healthy, like go to the gym after you get off work, read books. Like, people don't, like, now I'm reading this book, like reading books. You have to really be like, you can't really be friends with everybody, and just really managing the time. Like I tell us on the live stream, like, it's about saving money in college, but then again, in addition to saving money in college, you do want to be healthy, right? You want to be, you're never going to be balanced. Let's get that clear. Early is your new normal now. Early is your new normal now, LOL. What you mean, G? What you mean? Explain that to me real quick. I didn't even know G was in here. What's up, G? Good morning. I'm glad to see you working for yourself. Boss move again. I'm glad to see you working for yourself. But what you mean? Explain that to me real quick. I've been pretty good. I want you to explain that comment, though. I know it got to come in, but you probably typing it. I want you to explain that comment you just said. Early is your new normal now. Oh, I guess you're talking about me going live in the morning. Like, oh, because I don't think you was here, G, when I started. Like, at first, I started live in the morning. I was doing live streams in the morning, but then I had to go do military, and that threw my schedule off. Like, even if I get a new job, right, part-time, full-time, because I want part-time to keep working on this and keep doing this. But if I do full time, I'm probably gonna have to be on a nighttime schedule. Of course, I thought you go live usually later. Oh, you just started military. No, I've been military for 5 years now. I've been military for 5 years now. And so before anybody speculate and take this back, the military did not help me pay for school. I had at the time giving a little story. You know, we just talking right now before we go to the next segment. The military didn't help me pay for school. Everything was so. As I tell people, when you first go in, you're not just gonna get your stuff right away. You got to put time in. And so by the time I went in, I had my associate's degrees already on my own, paid out my pocket if I needed to. Um, that was all me. And so when I went to get my bachelor's, I kept that same motivation because I wanted people to know that you don't have to rely. Hey, I'm grateful for the military first and foremost, but I wanted people to know like you don't have to rely on the military to get a debt-free degree. Now it helps. It helps generate revenue, money for me. Don't get me wrong, but I took the money when I go on orders. We call it orders. When I go do military obligations, I get paid. I did take that money to pay for school if I needed to, like now. And so, because when you get your graduate degree, I know I skipped my bachelor's, but when you get your graduate degree, you don't get financial aid, you don't get none of that stuff. You just get loans. And so they've been good help. On top of me, I was working full time at Georgia Tech. That was good money to pocket back and pay for school, and that's how it should be. That's why I say you should start at a 2 year, because if you are a student who's not going to have no financial aid, it's going to be hard for you to get a debt-free degree. It's going to be super hard. So the 2 year helped me pocket back a lot of money, stacking and save it, stacking and save it, stacking and save it. And then I was like, just in case I don't get financial aid, because I didn't know if my financial aid was gonna run out. But my financial aid specialist had told me, I was surprised when he said, he was like, when you do your financial aid, it renews like every year. So he was giving me the breakdown a little bit. So he was like, but as you renew it every year, it does shrink. But he'll have to break that down. And so I was gonna have enough to stretch me out. He was like, as long as you don't stay on campus, because he was like, Henry, like staying on campus kills your financial aid, because they're going, like, the way it's set up is like, remember, your housing and your meal plan ties into your tuition, which makes it a whole big bill. And so my financial aid would have been gone as soon as I got to the school. So that's when I said, no, I'm just gonna stay off campus and get a job. And then I'll get a full-time job. I'll change the game. Instead of getting a part-time wimpy job on campus. And by the way, I don't know why students don't get paid at universities, like student worker jobs. Like at the 2 year, kids are getting like $15 an hour, $13 an hour, and it's crazy. I'm just saying. And so I said I'm gonna change the game and get a full-time job. And then I'm gonna take this full-time job money. And then I didn't even know this. Apparently the job at the university, when I was at my 4 year working, yeah, I was at the Valdosta State working. 'Cause I worked at Valdosta State too, an alumni. Um, when you get a full-time job like that, they pay for your schooling. Yeah. So I didn't even use it. I didn't use it. I didn't start using that benefit until I got to Georgia Tech for my master's. Because my supervisor was like, Henry, he was like, Henry, you need the, okay, I'm gonna come to that right now, G. He was like, Henry, you need to take advantage of that. And I was telling them, I was like, I'm on this debt-free degree journey. I want kids and parents to know, like, they can do it themselves with their money. And so I wanted to know, like, because I don't want them knowing, like, oh, they're going to be like, oh, man, you had a full-time, your job paid for it. I wanted to do it myself. Like, I was adamant on that, because I was literally, you can ask my girlfriend, she probably the only person that really knows my journey of, like, paying the money. Like, she was even like, use the resources, get scholarships. And I was like, no, no, no. I was like, because if you can get scholarships, or grants or aid or anything else to assist you along this way, it's definitely possible, for sure. I did it with my own money majority of the time. So let's see what G said. How you been? So you reserve? Yeah, yeah, I am. They may be calling you soon. Financial aid does run out, but it's maxed out every year, like up to like 6 years. Yes, because my girlfriend too. She So my girlfriend too. By the way, what happened with her? Like it was like a credit. It was like the 120. You know, every major in college. G, you probably know this. Every college, not every college. Yeah, every college has like 120 credit per credit hour, 150 per credit hour, similar to what the university president said in the post. She said, we want to interrogate what she said to that. We want to interrogate the 120 credit hour habit. That's what she said. And so the 120 credit hour habit for all you in there is where you have a time limit to complete your degree. And that's what G talking about when it runs out in like 6 years. So, and it could run out sooner, depending on how many classes you're taking. And so what else G said? Columbia does too. I guess G was talking about like they pay for schooling. You can also do work study in a 4 year. Yes, work study. Because that's what I started out as at the 2 year. They get paid good at my 2 year. And then he said, was paying for everything out of preference or a lack of resources or something. So I was paying for it. It was out of preference because I knew I wanted to do this in 2020. Like I got old videos I'm gonna post one day on here. I was getting paid 25 an hour, and when they paid me directly, it was 35. You was getting paid 25 an hour as a work study, or just like working like part time at the college? Clarify for us a little bit. Why? And I'm gonna keep telling like, yeah, it was just a preference because like right now we gonna have students and parents watching this, and they're gonna say, "Ain't no way," and they're gonna be like, "Ain't no way my kid gonna get a full-time job, and ain't no way my kid gonna get a full-time job to pay for school." Everybody can't do that. I knew everybody can't do that first and foremost. So I was like, okay. I knew everybody is not gonna get Pell. I knew that. I was like experimenting on myself. I made myself a guinea pig. And so I was like, everybody can't get Pell. Then I was like, everybody in different states on top of that. So everybody financial aid is gonna be different. It's federal. Everybody gets it, but that's gonna be different. So how you paying for school? I'm taking money from my part-time job and full-time job, and I'm paying for school when needed. And so, and G right here said, yeah, and overtime was 50. Overtime was 50. Like 50 an hour? They been paying y'all good out there. So G, if y'all wonder who G is and commenting, G has been with us on this journey as we provide higher education information to you. G is a Ivy Leaguer from Columbia University, if I said that right, Columbia University. He gives me information and conversation. So on the work study, I could only do 20 hours. Yep, me too. A week up to a certain number amount. Yeah, that's how I was too. I wasn't getting paid like that as a work study. I was only getting, as a work study at the time, I was getting, and then I ran out, they paid me directly 35. Okay. And then when mine ran out, not when mine ran out, I was only getting like $8 an hour. Cause you gotta think about it. It was before still very low, but I was getting, then anything over 35 a week was 50 an hour. Oh my goodness, they was giving you 50 an hour. What you was doing? What was your job? I know you work study, but what you was doing? Like I was proctoring students. And so I was getting $8 an hour. $8 an hour. But it was pre-pandemic. So they felt like we didn't need that much. And so I guess, And then the next topic though is crazy. The next topic is crazy. G, don't be typing that fast because we about to talk about the next one. Then I want your input on this next one. You probably already seen it in the headline. So college has, don't get me y'all, college has higher return on investment than stocks. That is not me. First, before you get me, I did not say that. I did not say that. Disclaimer: I'm not a financial advisor. Before we get into this, it was a post on LinkedIn, and it's a very. I was laughing. I laughed. So if they are in this live screen, by the way, or got somebody watching me, I'm not laughing at the post. I'm laughing like true but not true. And so the post is by, I will not pronounce that. Let me, y'all. I got sound on my computer now, so we good. I can use it. So if you don't know me, guys, and you new in here, my wordplay is not good. Meaning I don't pronounce words as good as everybody else. I had a speech impediment when I was younger. I can pronounce words pretty good, but some words like shrimp, for example, you might be like shrimp. Like I'm from the South too, so some pronunciations just don't flow right for me. And so it's not an excuse, but hey, it's just how things work for me. And now, where is it? But I don't judge people, by the way. Like, especially if you learning how to read pronunciations. I'm not that type of person because it's just, everybody different. And it's just not that serious at the end of the day. Now, if you speaking in front of some professionals trying to get your point across, then it could be a problem. But if you just talking and you I came out the wrong way, it happens. We don't trip. Pronunciation. But this is a media outlet, and I'm gonna play this out loud because I always see them, but I never had to pronounce it out loud. Let me see. It might be loud, but it's okay. Play it. Hold on, guys. Benzinga. Oh, I believe it's Benzinga. Y'all heard of Benzinga? Benzinga? I hope I said that right. Benzinga? That's how you should say it. Lord. Benzinga. I'm gonna say Benzinga until somebody correct me. I'm saying Benzinga, but I think that's how you say it. It's like literally Benzinga. Like that's how it should be pronounced. But if it's not pronounced like that, I apologize. So Benzinga did a post, and it was a post, and they said a new study from the New York Fed shows college from the New York Fed, first and foremost. So I don't know if this is only for the New York Fed or is this everywhere. So New York Fed shows that I'm gonna put the first. So what I like to do, guys, when I read something to you, because I don't have like a screen to show you yet. Like I don't have that set up like that yet. So it's missing a little bit, but nothing major. Nothing major. This is pretty much it. And then that's what I just put in the chat. So that's the first part of the post. And it says a new study from New York Fed shows college can offer a better return than stocks, with a median return on investment of 12.5% versus 8% for the market. So when they say 8% for the market, in the stock market, 8% is historical for the stock market. If you follow the S&P like index, it historically does 8%. So, which means if you put your money somewhere, it does. If you put $1,000 on 8%, pretty much like that. That's what you get on your money when you invest in the S&P 500 or the S&P index per se. But they're saying college can give you a minimum or median return of 12.5%. Now, immediately, it sounds good, but it all depends on where you go to school. And they get into that a little bit down at the bottom because you can have a negative return on investment. Like, we don't never think about that. See, investment is an investment. Investment, not just stock market. It's not just real estate. Investment is anything you put money into and you hope it appreciates over time, which is a car, right? Old school cars, your education, prime example, is your education increasing your salary by like 1%, 2% every year? Because if you get 2% over the next 5 years, that's 10% in the last 5. So, because 2 times 5 is 10. And so I seen G had posted something. G said, I was an office worker. They are either blissfully ignorant or malicious aware. Huh? What you talking about, G? And G said, would have never believed you had a speech impediment, but a lot of folks, especially in the South, say exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because G is a Southern boy too. He said, so yeah, it's I appreciate the compliment too. Yeah, I don't want to say I work really hard on it, but I do try my best to pronounce words properly. I try not to come off as like, because I don't want people thinking I'm an a-hole. Like, I was in special education. I had an IEP in high school. Speech impediment. Man, I've been at the bottom, but like not money wise, but like the bottom of like that too, though, money wise. I've been at the bottom of education. Like, I know what it feels like to not, when you read something, you don't comprehend it. I know what that feels like, to where I'm reading something and I'm comprehending it very fast. So that's why I say this is organic in here. Like, we can all talk about, like, hopefully, we get some K through 12 professionals in here. Like, I just know, like, from a K through 12 to higher education, if I'd have known it was other people out there still going to college who had IEPs, special education backgrounds, they still go to Ivy Leagues and stuff. They still go to prestige schools. And if you're not going to prestige, they still go to college and get great jobs and six-figure jobs. I thought and I know a lot of people who think that now, who were in IEP, special education, they feel like they can't go nowhere. Like, they feel like, man, college ain't in the play. I can't even get past a sentence or 2 sentences. I can't comprehend. When you just have to build the same way we go play sports. For my African Americans out there, the same way we go play sports every day, constantly, fresh out, as soon as we get out of school, it's the same way you got to pick up a book. It's it's the exact same. You got to practice how you play, but nobody told me how to train like that. We only know how to train using physical activity. And so G said they forgot about compound interest, which hasn't happened for wages at all. Very true. And the data shows that, and it does. And I feel you. Won't lie and say I have been at the bottom, but definitely resource wise, right? Resource wise, the literally bottom of the barrel, right? Like, we all can relate, right? It's like G said, resource wise, bottom of the barrel. And so G has been giving us a lot of information. Like, if you read in these comments by G, don't feel like G is just throwing, like, G is the type gonna throw some information out there if he feels or knows anything about it, and if he doesn't, he might not hear about it, or he might drop a website in there. You never know. He might drop some sources in there, but I expect to attract more intelligent people to this live stream, right? Because I did not want to do that. So I'm about to talk more about this post. There's more to it, but I accidentally clicked it, and so we have a lot of people out there, right, who are very intelligent, and so who are very, like, really professionals at what they do. Like, when I tell you I got a financial aid specialist, like, I don't know everything about higher education. Let's be clear. I know how to navigate it, but when it comes to sectors of it, oh, you need those professionals. You need somebody who can tell you, like, how to transfer your credits go. People do that. That's a job. You need people, right, who know how to schedule and plan really good, like how you should take your classes. I'm pretty good at that myself, because no disrespect to any of my academic advisors. Watch out. No disrespect to my academic advisors, but I did my own outline. They'll help me out at first and try to set me up with classes, but I'll change the classes and know, like, what I could take in summer. And I'll be like, do you know if this gonna be offered in the summer? Then they'll be like, I don't know. I gotta go talk to my head, like, hey, go talk to your head advisor. Let me know, because I don't want to waste no money. So, but it said Suze Oman. I believe that's her name. Suze Oman. Or Suze Orman. They misspelled her name. No, the R is just really attached to the M. Suze Orman says that, okay, but Suze Orman said that she had also said at the end of that paragraph I put in the chat, she said that she says that only holds if students follow key rules. So you can have a 12.5% versus 8% in the stock market if you're if you follow the key rules. Just like what G said. G said too, like they didn't think about compound interest. G said, yeah, mine wasn't bad. I'm gonna read what G said, then we're gonna keep going real quick. I love talking. Hey, when you comment, guys, y'all make the stream a lot better because then it brings up stories that I went through while getting my debt-free degree on top of that. But it helps a lot. That's why I love the comment. That's why G comment. I told G earlier on, like, I love comments. I can never get tired of the comments because I don't like to hear myself talk all the time. I do, but I've been successful in life. Like, really, I'm successful, I feel like, especially where I come from. I learn from other people's mistakes. Literally, I can learn from your. I will not go through something if I don't have to. I will learn from your mistake. Um, and he says, yeah, mine wasn't bad, but I had to take into account he had like 400. Okay. Yeah, he said, oh, G talking about his academic advisor. Mine wasn't bad, but I had to take into account he had like 400 other students, and the major specific ones really only exists if that major is really something you want to do. Okay. Hope I read that right. Yeah, mine wasn't bad, but I had to take into account he had like 400 other students, and the major specific ones really only exists. Yeah, major specific. Like right now, I could talk to my professor, email him right now. Got a great relationship with him. That's my professor in graduate school. I have a great relationship with him. I'm not gonna lie, at first, I came in very conceited. I felt like I was gonna know everything about higher education. And then my girlfriend was like, don't go in there like that. Go in there with an open mind. And I was like, well, what? Look at higher education. That's how I was at first. I was like, look at it. It's terrible right now. This before Trump and them started exposing it, but I was like, it's terrible. Like, they're gonna talk about the same stuff, no innovation, because I'm really big on like innovation and changing the structure of the higher education. Like, where it went wrong, some people will have their political takes on that. We're nonpartisan. They say it went wrong with Ronald Reagan. That's what they say. And so, because college used to be free, and then Ronald Reagan made it like put a sticker price on it pretty much. That's what they say. Now, we haven't talked about that in college. I'll be honest with you. We did not talk about that. They have not mentioned that yet. So I'm definitely going to bring that up as a conversation in class. And then I'm going to go do my own research on it now when we get off the live screen. Because I kept hearing that. I heard multiple people tell me that. And then G right here said, LOL. G said, LOL, it did. And that's a fact. But not because it made it free. So G on it. G be like, yeah, that happened. And then don't worry, we be fact checking G. We go behind G when G say this stuff in the chat. We be going behind and be like, was that right? Was that true? What G said? We be like, yeah, G. We be checking you. We be checking. We be like, G right? Yeah, G was right. Yeah, like yeah, we right. Yeah. So it's good to have that though. And so so the steps they did and said, they said first you must graduate. This is the same post now about you can get a higher return in college versus the stock market. And I'm gonna talk about that. They say first you must graduate. Dropping, and then they said period. Dropping out often means taking on debt without the income boost of a degree. Second, finish in 4 years. So I always talk about on the live stream that you're not going to finish in like the typical person who goes to college finishes in 5 to 6 years. You're not. The only way you finish in 4 years is if you're an athlete. Athletes have it set up, to my knowledge, because athletes get special. Like one of my my older brother, shout out to him, his sister on his dad's side, she played Division I basketball. She had specific advisors, like I don't even think she had the same advisors at the school because they constantly travel. She had a specific advisor. She played at the University of Kentucky. She had a specific advisor that traveled on the road with them. So, because I used to always wonder how these students graduate in 4 years that are athletes, and they don't work nearly as hard in the academic in academics. They don't work nearly as hard as students who are busting their butt in academics. So they graduate in 4 years. And though they usually graduate in 4 years, but a student like me and you all who just went straight off of like, I'm just going to school off academics, it takes you 5 to 6. It took me 5. I graduated high school in 2017, showing my age. And when I graduated 25 in 2017, I was supposed to start school that 2017 year, but I was doing trades that year. I didn't start to that 2018 fall. And then, so it really took me 5 years to get my bachelor's overall, to work my way to my bachelor's. And so, because they said right here, finish in 4 years. Every extra year cuts your return significantly. Third, focus on net price, not sticker price. Choose schools with strong aid packages and avoid private loans when possible. Now, when they say pick a school with strong aid packages, once again, I had to talk to my financial aid specialist. But once again, when I upgrade the equipment, get a part-time job, a full-time job, like I'm going to invest in like so I can bring him on, and then bring him on for like 15 to 30 minutes. Probably not, because the screen will get longer, y'all. As we upgrade and we can do more, the screen will get longer. And so, not crazy long, but long, to where I could bring a person on or schedule to bring a person on who is a specialist in their area. And so now the aid with strong aid packages, he'll have to break that down for us. And then they say avoid private loans. But they telling you to avoid private loans. But once again, I always talk about it. I wrote about it in school. I wrote a 10-page, 12-page paper on it. The private lender arrangement, or no, preferred lender arrangement. You can Google it right now. Just type in what is a preferred lender arrangement. What is, or ask ChatGPT, what is a preferred lender arrangement? It's really important because arrangement, yeah, I spelled it right. And then you make sure you say in higher education. But a preferred lender arrangement is just not higher education. It's really like, it's used in other business aspects. Like, it's like I got a business degree, but college, higher education and business go hand in hand. I'm gonna say that. And it says a preferred lender arrangement, PLA, is a relationship between a lender and an educational institution or other organization. So a lender, for all my banking people out there, if you know some banking people, tell them to come to the organic space. They can give us some banking tips or whatever. So a lender is a bank. So any of those big banks you can think about. Your school. I love this because it helps me make a better, it makes me confident to say like, yeah, you should definitely start a 2-year college, definitely. Because the lender, whatever bank you want to name, XYZ, has a relationship with your school. And then your school, like when you go to the business office, you say, man, I don't got $10,000. They're going to say, oh, look, you should go over there to XYZ bank and then see if they'll approve you for a loan. They're going to approve you for a loan. Because when you type in the school, they're going to be like, you probably said the key word, that school, and then they're going to, whoop, here you go, take the money back to the school. Because if I'm not mistaken, banks make their money off of loaning. That's good. They love doing that. And then charging you interest because they're going to get it back, hopefully, right? And so they have relationships. And what does it do? When I said what it does is it boosts fake enrollment numbers. I said that in my paper. And my professor was like, that makes sense. It made sense because if you go get the money from the bank and go back to school to pay for school, you enrolled in school. So that's going to contribute, if I said that right, that's going to contribute to you helping boost enrollment. But it's boosting false enrollment. Why? Because when you can't get that loan no more because you haven't paid it back already, and then you suffering in student loan debt, and you get to your senior year, which we heard people say they didn't finish their senior year for some reason sometimes, right? We heard those stories. When you can't graduate your senior year because you just say, man, it's too much. You just got overwhelmed. then that retention rate falls, right? Or it can fall sooner. Then they retention rate fall. Then it's like their enrollment is high, but the retention rate is rising as well. So it's like your enrollment is rising, which is good, but your retention rate is falling down, which is bad. So you're just taking like, and it was an article about it. You're taking the short term money pretty much. Instead of if you was helping them, setting them up right, you're not only gonna get that student, but you're gonna get their legacy, like their kids and whoever else come after them, right? And so then you're always gonna have that pipeline. They're not thinking about building a long-term pipeline like the Ivies, right? I'm assuming that's how the Ivies keep their, like, it's rolling. They always gonna have students, like, no doubt, right? I always say the Ivies because sure, people go to them, but it's a lot of speculation on Ivies. We're gonna have them conversations. There's a lot of speculation on Ivies, like you gotta have money, da da da. I never went to Ivy. My professor did, but he had some conversations about him. I can't drop his name. Gotta keep him protected. But it's a lot of speculation about Ivies. But going back to that post, that PLA, look into that and avoid them private loans for sure. And then Armin warns against picking dream schools. As I always say, I was real hardcore about it. I'm easing up though, but I do tell students like this is why I was against the Biden administration paying off student loans for people, because there are some privileged people out there who knew what they were doing, but they said, I want to go to my dream school and took on these student loans. They knew the consequence. And then some people who were at the bottom, now, like who was at the bottom who didn't have the information, they had to take the loans, but they still wanted to get the same experience as somebody else going to a dream school, right? Because we see it all the time. Once again, with marketing, right? It's like an ethos type of marketing. They get you with the emotions, like you see the kids reacting, like I got in, da da da. But you never see on the back end. You never see on the back end of like them racking up the student loans of going to that dream school. And she's saying that here. She warns against picking your dream school. Like, that's another thing. I'm about to see what you said, G. I'm writing this down so I don't forget. Question. So G has said something else. I'm still on it. And okay. It's the connections. G said it's the connections. I ain't had money. I tell you that much. Not gonna pretend that once you get into an Ivy as an American and take advantage of all. Okay. Not gonna pretend that once you get into not gonna pretend that once you get into an Ivy as an American, take advantage of all the resources they had to offer. You were set. Okay. Man, them resources must have been crazy good. Resources must have been crazy. And then G also said, maybe not so true now, but more true than you think. And then G said, yeah, unpopular opinion, I agree. I don't think student loan debt should be unilaterally paid off by the federal government unless they compensate everyone didn't take them. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, compensating the people who didn't take them. I like that. I like that. I like that because, well, with the resources in Ivy League, can you drop some examples of resources, G? Like, what's some resource you think that was, that you think was different from like a regular school? Like, I went to a regular school, they would never do that though. Nah, probably not. But you drop some examples of those resources at an Ivy. Like, we have resources at universities, of course, public schools, but they never pan out. Like you said, connections, right? I think that's why some people get jobs who are not really good at their job in college. They just bring a lot of connections to the school. That's why you see like prime example, HBCUs, they started bringing like celebrities to the schools. Even if they don't know how to coach in football, for example, they gonna bring them because they got connections. And then even on the acting side, I know Howard had brought some professionals in theater there to be on the board and stuff. But what that did, that made a lot of more African Americans go to Howard, or at least apply and try to get in. They don't have the money, but they're still gonna go, right? You got people who don't have the money and still gonna go. I remember I was speaking at a school at my alma mater for high school, and one lady came up to me and asked me how I could pretty much reverse her. She asked me how could I reverse her daughter's student loan debt, pretty much, and I was like, I can't. I told her I can't reverse it because the damage already been done. But I did recommend her to a platform that I watch that specializes in like chopping down debt. And so that platform was Dave Ramsey. Like I started off as a Dave Ramsey person, like really diving in, budgeting, being a good steward with money. Because you gotta realize, guys, my high school didn't teach me financial literacy. I came up in a household, my mom is a hustler and taught me how to always save, but never like, what am I saving for? Like I always felt in my heart, you should have emergency fund. I'm like, I never understood why people that like I never knew the word for it, but I was like, you don't have. You never know. Like some always that was just my thought. I don't know why. I guess that was just one of the things I was blessed with. Like I just was always that type of person. Like just in case, because when I used to go spend that at my brother's house, cousin brother, but my brother, y'all probably meet him because I plan on posting a video. He a physical therapist, and so um, I remember that when I used to go to his house and spend the night, my mom would say always bring a pair of good clothes to wear, just in case if we go to like a function or something, you got some nice clothes. She always say, bring a nice pair of clothes, just in case. And I was like, nice pair of clothes, just in case. So I always felt it was the same with money. Just in case something happens, have some money just in case this happens. It just felt like it was common sense. So, real quick, and I'm gonna say this other part. I'm gonna say this other one too, before we still on this segment, guys. This is a good this was a good topic. And so G said, because I asked G to post some like resources of Ivy League, and he said, yeah, the connections the school had to big names like J.P. Morgan Chase, uh, Deloitte, Deloitte. Y'all probably see that in the chat. I'm probably saying it wrong. It looked like Deloitte. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm gonna stop. And then he said, etc. He said I had I think dinner. He had a dinner with the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. I'm assuming Chief Technology Officer of Goldman Sachs. He said he had a dinner with him or her. I don't think he's still there now. I think that's what he meant to say. I don't think he's still there now. That's crazy. The Chief Technology Officer of Goldman Sachs. I don't know, y'all. Hey, if you in this chat, you better know who Goldman Sachs is. And you better know who JP Morgan Chase is. Goldman Sachs, they on the stock market now. I know people that trade that company a lot. And then it says, we had a meaningful, open, and honest conversation about, I kid you not, the political and economic state of the world. Huh. And G said, yeah, my mama worked 3 jobs most of my life. Whoo. Shout out to her, man. 3 is crazy. That means she was getting off one job, going to the next, and then probably doing a weekend job. Or I hope probably like that. It's crazy. And then G said also, we had a strong, robust career center. That is, you gotta have I think a career center should be heavily invested in more. I know some schools that don't invest in that properly. We had a strong career center. We had a lot of job fairs and specific companies who had spots just for Columbia students. So like that's why I say, like, guys, that's where the education that's when the education is pretty worth it, right? They're setting you up with guaranteed jobs. That's worth it. Like that's why I don't talk about Ivies really. That's why I don't talk about the private schools because usually they get jobs when they leave. Usually. And public schools though, where it gets tricky with us on the public side, is like at least with regular schools too, man, all schools, all 4 years, even some 2 years, but mostly 4 years. Um, they charging you all this money, but you don't have no guaranteed job when you leave the school. That's a problem. Like I talk about all the time. At least they could put us in a college, not college, put us in a job. If the job don't work out, it's our fault, or it was just not a good job. But they put you in some money. And so G also said, I would say 100% say Ivy Leagues are worth it. Most college still is for the most part, most certainly. And it's like you said, the problem is when you don't finish. That's the problem. And so I do say college is worth it as well, G. I'm a strong advocate too. I'm glad you are as well. Cause you don't, a lot of, G, it's a stigma that college is not worth it no more. And that's not true. That's slowly becoming not true, but for the most part, now college still. Right. College is like it definitely increased my income. Now I might not be satisfied. Like, well, for me, I knew what I was getting into. Like I saw I saw the salaries for organizational leadership / working in higher education. Like I saw the projection of working. Like if you want to climb the ranks and work your way up to president, right? We know how much they make, millions of dollars, right? And I saw how lucrative it was. So I knew my career. Most people think my career field is not lucrative, but it's a $1 trillion industry for a reason. And then G said my mama was military active, Pizza Hut, and delivered newspaper. Dang. Yeah, because you can work other jobs. You had to get a permission, but you can work other jobs when military. What branch she was, G? Army, Air Force, Marine. I'm feeling Marine because you said South. She was Marine. I feel like you're going to say Marine. Air Force. Yeah, Air Force. She was good people for real then. She was good people's for real. Air Force. Wink, wink. Air Force. She's good people. She's good people. She's good people. Fly, fight, win. She's good people. So, yeah, G gets it. Yeah. So, and then the next one I want to talk about real quick, just a little bit. Are we even done with this post? Because I was hitting everything. Oh, then she said on the last part of the post, Suze Orman, she said, including lost wages. Including lost wages, college costs can top $150,000. We know that. But done wisely, it can still beat stocks long term. The key is finishing on time, keeping debt low, and choosing smart. So, prime example, how are you going to, my main thing is, right, you got to think, higher education never tells you, they never tell you you have to go to this school. They just really good at advertising. Guys, I'm going to interview somebody who works in advertising at a university. And I hope they don't get in trouble because they are really good marketers. Like they can market, right? Like think about it. People say, I say this all the time. People think it's like one or two sales types. There are multiple sales skills, like different ways to be a salesman. You just see the most common one, which is like cars or I talked about this before, but you see the most common ones like cars, houses, and like, right, traditional. That's easy, right? That's easy. I feel like that's easy. All you gotta do is just make sure you know the house, set it up real nice, and give it to somebody. It's real simple. Higher education is a different type of sales game, though. Because when I was at my 2 year, I was technically in sales. Like I always been, technically anybody in higher education is selling. It's like any career field, but higher education is selling because you're always gonna have a phone call with a parent who is trying to learn about the school. So you're right there selling instantly. And so what I was getting at with the sales, we are like passive sellers in higher education. I don't think it's a word for that, but I created that. It's passive selling. we sell education. And then you say, well, y'all not really good sellers. We have $1 trillion in student loan debt. We're making you pull out student loans for something that, like, it's not even guaranteed. Your future's not guaranteed. It's like any investment, but we're really making you like literally go get $20,000 a year in student loan debt. We are pretty good sellers. We're better sellers than car salesmen, if you ask me. And it's the truth. And so right here, G right here jumped in and said, I'll admit I had a very skewed understanding of college. I never thought a college would have to have a salesperson, but I believe it was due to the caliber schools I applied to. Yeah. Yeah, I got salespeople, man, for days. And G said, I never applied with paying in mind, to be honest. Yeah, because G a boss. G didn't pay for school. G said they were going to pay me. That's the mindset they have. And so, finishing on time, we talked about that. And then keeping your debt low. The only way you're going to keep your debt low, you got to start a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. Or pick a school in your budget. All right, there are some 4-year schools out there that are the same price as a 2-year college, believe it or not. But once again, if you stay on campus at that 4-year, it ain't gonna do you no justice. So you will still have to stay on campus at that 4-year. But it's some 4-year schools out there that got similar prices to 2 years. You just have to look. And choosing smart, like we just said, right? Choosing a 2-year bridge into a 4th year, articulation agreements, doing the pathways. And so before I go into the last one, the bubble in higher education, which is very, I would have to be on the research team to do this. Like trying to see if it's a bubble in higher education, that's a lot of digging, right? But before we get into that, why do people, I got a question for everybody in here right now. I have a question. Why do people support schools? It's as simple as it comes. Why do people support schools they never went to? Like, I went to a 2-year college, right? As you can see. And then I went to a 4-year, Valdosta State University. But people would support like UGA, for example, right? Or go support University of Florida. Why don't you just support the college you went to? I never understood that. Like, I love my schools I went to. Like, every school got some history to it, yeah. But like, they took care of me. Like, they made sure I had good prices and made sure my financial aid. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of weird. Like, people be like, oh, I'll be like, you went here? Like, I went to some games with some people. I went to an Auburn basketball game one time. I was like, oh, I was like, you went here? They were like, nah, I just like the school. What? I went somewhere else. And they're a donor. They're a big donor. And they're like, I went somewhere else. I'm like, huh? You went somewhere else? It's weird. Like G said, it's kind of weird. It is. And then G right here said, Ploy Matter did a really good video on that bubble. Drop the, I guess the name of it, so I can go watch it after this, G. Ploy Matter. I'm gonna type that in, but if you drop it in there, even more beautiful. But I remember one time I was doing a flying at Kobe. Just go to Columbia. He said Ploy Matter. Let me see who Ploy Matter. Is it on you? It's on YouTube, right, G? The video, the Ploy Matter video. He said Ploy Matter. So if G give us that video name and stuff, that'd be dope. And so, yeah, I don't understand why schools do that. I really don't. I don't understand why they do that. So, bubble in higher education. There is speculation, according to Chronicles Higher Education, that we are in a bubble. Or we are building a bubble. Well, first and foremost, if it's a bubble, that bubble is already pretty nice. And is it at a Popping point, I don't know that part. But I believe there is a bubble. I always said it in theory, but I didn't have no, of course, no, what's that word? No proof. Bubble. All right. They said a bubble that will one day pop right here. And then G said, "Ooh, please don't close out." G said, make sure we show some love. All these comments. I'm showing love to you, G. How college broke the labor market, YouTube. Okay. I don't think it let me send a link. Okay. So, how college broke the labor market. I'm going to check that out. Before. All right, I found it, G. I found that one. He has a bunch of other pretty good videos. I'm gonna tap into it, G. I'm gonna tap into it. And that's legal for when I say I'm gonna tap into it, I'm gonna look into it. And so, this is interesting. Never heard of Play Matter. See, information like that, you just don't find. Like, my YouTube is consisted of like stocks and education and movies. I love movies. He's a LO, I get the slang. G, you funny. You a funny person, G. You better be working hard over here watching me too. You better be working. You probably got like 3 monitors up too. You probably got me on the. I wonder you got me on your TV on the side, and then you got like 3 monitors in front of you. I bet you got a nice layout. And then we closer in age than you realize. We are? Ah, didn't even think that. Didn't even think that. Don't worry, G. We'll keep growing and asking questions as we go. Then I'll make you like a top member in here as I keep staying consistent. And then, yeah, we out here early. But they said the time would tell whether these are investments. Okay, so my bad. I didn't give you no context. For real though, I should be working, but took a break and saw you were live. What G said, for real though, I should be working, but took a break and saw you were live, and now we here. That's just how it be. That must mean I did pretty good with keeping your attention. That means I'm doing pretty good. So, but they did say the context of it all is so there is a where is it? So schools, like, just to get some examples, like, so y'all heard about the what is it called? NIL settlement, right? So they had approved a 2.8 billion antitrust settlement. Now I haven't really been digging into the NIL area, but you heard about the NIL, right? And so money is pretty much like it's hurting schools more per se, on top of like what's going on with the Trump administration as well, right? And so schools are seeing like paying students or paying athletes is really hurting them. It's really hurting them. Just to give that context, because it said right here in January, long before the settlement was approved, the University of Missouri announced it would give $25 million to its athletic department. Florida State University system just approved an emergency rule allowing institutions to route up $22.5 million in auxiliary funds. Revenue generated from likes of dorms, dining halls, and bookstores to athletic budgets. You see what I'm saying? They're taking money from the dorms, that money you're paying as a student, and the dining halls that you're paying, and the bookstores. And a lot of schools, did Columbia have an agreement with Barnes and Noble Like, was your bookstore like Barnes and Noble? I got a question on that. If you in here still, I just wonder because a lot of schools here in Georgia, like colleges in Georgia, we had like a lot of schools were partnering with. Boy, Barnes and Noble, they be working, man. They be working. So like anybody you know, colleges like bookstores and stuff, like got a Barnes and Noble's deal for some reason. It's probably an interesting fact just to know. But it's pretty expensive in a bookstore. And so they're going to take all the revenue from there and put it into the athletic budget. Why? Because I know for sure it's neck and neck with students paying money, you know, of course, for college, but I believe athletic is depending on the school, it's a real high driver of like supposedly going to bring in revenue for colleges. Because a lot of colleges are putting money toward this. Like right here, it said Missouri announced again with loans. Per Chronicle Higher Education, Missouri has announced a $15 million loan. The University of Kentucky plans to lend its athletic department up to $141 million in the coming years. Michigan State, once again, did something similar. Michigan State's budget has a line for a $12.1 million internal loan. And then that's what it's speculated to hear. So they said the bigger picture. Private equity has also been sniffling, pretty much sniffling around college athletics investments that could, in theory, once again, because it's like you have to somebody has to do the research to see like if there's about to be something that's gonna happen. But common sense could tell you something's gonna happen if this doesn't play out right. In theory, enabling institutions to rake in money over time by adding amenities to facilities. Time will tell whether these are investments filling a sustainable growing industry or subsidies inflating a bubble that will one day pop. So I'm on the side of like, I think it's inflating a bubble. Now, I'm not the biggest person and I didn't go to school for economics. I understand basic economics, supply and demand, right? Especially if you're a stock market investor, you gotta understand that. That's how I knew to invest in Palantir back in 2021. Now, don't get me wrong, AI was already out for a long time, but it took some research and some questions, doing some interviews with people who was in the industry. So, yeah. Do I think a bubble? I don't know. I think higher education is like G posted like that video. I'm gonna watch that video and try to get some more information myself because I'm not gonna find that in like a scholarly journal article. I'm not gonna find like is there a bubble coming? I'm not going like higher education professionals not really looking at that. They're more looking at like stuff that's like I don't get how you can. I'm kind of roasting right now, but I don't know how you can write an article on boosting student enrollment, but you're not highlighting the tuition problems about and boosting enrollment. Like literally, I'm not saying tuition is the sole purpose of it, but like I know tuition is the sole purpose. Let me say that, but it's like you can't write an article and not like and just disregard that. You gotta mention that, right? You have to mention the tuition problem. Like they write articles like that and stuff similar, and it's like don't make sense, and that irritates me a little bit. And G said, yeah, no one in higher education, I believe, would write about that exactly. So I have to like, you see where I'm coming from, G. So I have to constantly like come from a different angle on information. And like when I'm reading it, I have to really go against their research, essentially. Like I'm going against their research because I don't really agree with what they're talking about. Like it don't make sense. Like, and then that's why I get irritated too in my career field too, guys, when I'm like applying to jobs. It's jobs I'm not applying to because I know like a job, we literally have jobs in higher education where they want you to like boost enrollment, but the school, if you go do like I do common research and just go look at their tuition prices and what they're advertising, like what's their driving like what's their driving source? Like they really want you to like boost enrollment, tell kids to come stay on campus, and then they ask you questions like, how would you help a student who needs money to pay for college? And I'm like, they of course they say scholarships, but every student's not gonna get a scholarship, and it's hard for me just to say go apply and get a scholarship. That is like, it's just not real. Like these kids be needing like $10,000, $20,000. Like a scholarship can't help with that. And so it'd be like scholarships, grants, but it's not like how here we could tell you early and you know how to navigate it. It's like these students coming to you like right before the semester start, and you got to figure out how to help them get $10,000 or something. And then, like G said, scholarships are overly it's saturated. Yes, it's saturated. Like saying getting a scholarship is like saying you, I got coupons. It's like saying I can get you a coupon. And so, G, what you had said before? You had your message had Is it retracted? And it went back. You had said something else. And so, I say so a lot, y'all, because I be about to cook up again. But that bubble. And so we just talk about that. I think something bad is gonna happen. But like you said, that video is gonna highlight it. But besides the video, all this money being borrowed, if you are a student, once again, you will feel the consequences of this. Anytime we have a bubble pop, it's history, right? History repeats. When we had the '08 crisis, we had bubbles before the '08 crisis, by the way. We always had bubbles, like Great Depression and recession, just a natural recession, I believe. And then what is it called? When '08 happened, that was like a great recession, but they put a name on it as like the housing crisis, right? That's why it's so hard for us to like get a house, right? Like you have to the only way you're gonna really get a house is like, you're gonna have to invest in the stock market, honestly. Unless you really just, like me personally, I got a goal of buying a house using stock market money. I don't really plan on like saving my money check to check to put down a down payment. I don't, no, that's the wrong game to play. I don't like playing games fair. Like I play fair, like if I'm playing sports, but like some things you just can't play fair to get ahead. You gotta change the game. Like athletes, like Steph Curry changed the game. Jordan changed the game. LeBron changed the game. And like, cause I can watch basketball. I play baseball, but I can watch basketball. I know it's weird. And like, you just have to be a game changer. Like when Steph was shooting all them threes, nobody else was doing it. It's just like a stock in a company. It's like a company with stock. When you invest into a company, what they're doing, nobody else is doing. And then it's like, they're doing this. And then it's like, who else can do it? Nobody. So then it's easy to say, man, it's easy to say the Golden State Warriors are going to win a lot because nobody else could do that. And they were whooping up on everybody. It's the same philosophy when you invest in the market. Disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, but that's how I look at things from a qualitative perspective. I look at it quantitative, but more qualitative. And then G said, sure, you can say it's a good thing more students are applying for college, but there really are not more scholarships, right? And tuition is only increasing, and cost of living is increasing. Exactly. And wages are not increasing to match. All of these things go together, and some things I didn't list, right? And like we never could, because we talking, we can never mention like all these other economic factors. And so that's what I talked about in school too. And my professor loved my papers too. He loved them. He understood my perspective. He was supportive of me doing this too, because I was telling him, like I was thinking about what I was thinking about. I knew I was gonna do it. I know they say don't look for validation, but I do want to make sure I'm making sense when I'm talking, especially when I'm in such a career field like this. Fundamentally, you have to invest in the market or build a business. That is to be potentially invested in. If you want to make if you want to make real money long term, gee, no. Gee, I'm glad I attracted you in here because I have, it's hard to have. I don't get to have conversations with nobody like this. I don't. Um, I don't. It's really, G, you probably know, or you probably got a circle, G. But it's really hard to like find because of technology like AI and robots are really going to make things even harder for people. Really, yes. And so it's just like when we saw and G, you probably can relate to this too. It's like when we saw computers coming in, right? People thought computers were just gonna be temporary, but they took jobs. Computers took jobs, internet took jobs, and so on, right? Wi-Fi took jobs. Wi-Fi took some jobs, and so Ella, that's true. I don't get the opportunity often either, not anymore anyway. And so we don't get to talk like, about, like you just gotta really invest and like, I'll be quick to tell you at my age, I'm 26, but I often talk, me and my girlfriend had these conversations as well. It's hard for us right now, like our age. It's hard. Like, don't get me wrong, I made investments, but I also think about peers who like imagine if you're not working as hard. I always say like I work hard and I try to work smarter, not harder. And so if you're not even doing like what G is doing, like G got a business and he works for himself. And he said we closer in age than you think, but he went into business for himself. I always say this too. G might laugh at this, but I say this all the time. When I was working at Georgia Tech, y'all seen that? I always say when I was working at Georgia Tech, nothing against Georgia Tech, it's a job, it's a company, right? I can't tell no job what to do. I can't tell no job what to do with their money or how they make their money, right? Because they've been doing it before I got here. So, but I did used to say to myself all the time, I used to say, this job don't pay me 1% of what they make. I used to say that. This job doesn't pay me 1%. The job, I was making like 49 pretty much. After taxes, probably like 45, 46. And that's not even 1% of what they make. The school makes billions, probably. It's all public record, by the way. The school, that's how I knew that. The school makes like $1 billion a year. Probably like a semester. No, not a bit, no, a year. They making millions for sure, multi-millions a semester. A lot of millions. Like, you gotta think Georgia Tech, they gonna charge their fee. And so, 21 Savage said that. And they gonna charge their fee. And so, I missed it again. And so, I was like, they don't pay me 1%. So, not saying I didn't care. I just was more focused on my investments personally. And I had people coming up to my cubicle. Like, people think I'm like a stock market wizard. I am not a stock market wizard. I am not a stock market wizard. I tell people like, no, I'm like Warren Buffett. I like to be fundamental. If a company balance sheet look good, and it's in the S&P 500, I follow it. It's that simple. Now I might have took I do my homework, exactly, G. I do my homework. And then I took that one risk with Palantir, don't get me wrong, that was very risky. Like it sounds good now, but you gotta think, man, when nobody was talking about it, it was like $7. Woo. Man, that's different than sports right there. That's a whole nother type of game winner, buzzer beater. And so, and then G said right here, they fly up in your face, LOL. Yeah, there are always new jobs, but with the specifics in this case, it's going to get harder. It's going to get harder. It's going to get so harder. And so it's going to get real hard. And you just really got to be like, I tell my peers, I tell people I care about out of love, like you really just got to know about the market. You just got to know about something that can make you money. You don't got to be the market. Like G, he a business owner, and it's all about percentages and returns. Wherever you can get those returns at, that's what matters. And so, like, you're looking at me in real time right now, building this channel, right? You know, technically, like I said before, I'm not finna come on here now. This is a media company, but I'm not finna come on here and not tell you like I'm not an employee of YouTube. I'm essentially working for YouTube. Now, all these other YouTubers might say, "Oh, I'm a media company. This my that." Bro, no, this is YouTube got the. Let me say this: YouTube and Google. It's a reason why they're in court for a monopoly right now, and so they got it on lock. And so, but of course, you know, you build out and build out to where you don't need it no more. And then G said Palantir is one of those companies where if you can't beat them, join them. But mostly because no one really knows what they do. G, matter of fact, since you're in that area, how do you feel about it? Would you ever like work there? Just asking. Would you ever like try to work there? Because they do like real top secret stuff. Like when I was researching the company, because you know military, I was like, man, it sounds like the military could use this. And then when I kept digging, they were working with the military a lot. Like I kept digging like public like record. No, I have morals, LOL. What you was trying to say? What you trying to say, G? They have morals too. Morals, yeah. But yeah, they what I was saying, like, they do a lot of work with three-letter agencies and all that stuff. And it has been a ride. Let me think. You a video right quick. Let me link you a video right quick. What's that video? What it's about, G? Before we get back on the bubble. And then we gotta do our review, y'all. We've been talking for almost an hour, almost 2 hours. That's crazy. We have taught this live stream. I'm not gonna lie. We have taught this live stream. G say he gonna link us a video to see. And then I think the school we're gonna talk about too. Why G do that. And then the school we're gonna review. Cause again, at the end of the day, guys, when I have downtime, you know, at the live streaming, what does Palantir actually do? By good work. Okay. I know what they do. They provide AI. And they do something different with their AIs. Like they have, see, look, now you got me help. Now I'm gonna attract these Palantirians to this channel. But they got Apollo, they got Gotham, they got AIP, and they got one more. I always forget. They got one more. I always forget their name. They got these different now. LR right conversation for another. Yeah, it is for another day. And like they got these different type of AI forms, platforms, and all I knew early on, if anybody is curious about investing, all I knew early on was that nobody else was doing it, and I read this book. Because one thing about me, I'm not gonna hold information from you. I read this book where I can't get it, but it was this book right here. I could type it for sure. And that's the power of reading, right? That book, I paid for that book 0 to 1. I think that book is like, it's called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. That book was like $16 ish to $20, and it gave me a great ROI on my return. It gave me a great return on investment just because I read that book. That's how I discovered the book. That's how I discovered it. I mean, that's how I discovered the company. I was just reading because I was trying to find the next company. I was just trying to find the next thing, the next, Apple, And is it going to be something like that? Like G said, another conversation for another day. And so, the bubble and higher education, they're really good business. That's it. Yeah, I don't really get caught in their political views and all that, as you know me. I'll stick to their business philosophies and their philosophies because they went to Stanford. Most of them went to Stanford. So Stanford got something over there they not sharing. Because, Jensen Young, the NVIDIA owner, he went to Stanford too. And so Stanford got something over there. They're not telling us, but they need to come over here and give me some merch and let me see what they over there telling in that classroom. Because a lot of people, the best companies in the United States, like S&P, a lot of them went to Stanford. Not a lot, but a good few of them went to Stanford. And so that bubble, be mindful, pick your schools right. Because if a bubble happen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can say I know schools going to have to close down. And then the bubble might not even be a bubble. Like the bubble might be something, I always think in different ways. Like he said, you know how it is, Ivies and Ivies adjacents, I think I said right, tend to have a lot of people come from them when it comes to business and politics. Yes, they do. They do. They do. Y'all putting something in the respectfully, y'all are putting something in the schoolhouse. And that's why we should go to college. They're putting something in the schoolhouse. And so the school I want to review, and keep in mind that bubble, guys. We'll talk more about that bubble. And then I like following people because then I get to see their posts. I had to stop for a second. I seen a post. I follow professionals on here too. Um, so hopefully they'll, yeah. So what college do we want to do as we wrap up? Oh yeah, we could do that. That's a popular school. Let me make sure. I don't think Clemson. Clemson better not be private. They in South Carolina. All the Ivy Leagues ain't all the Ivy Leagues up north. G. I don't think it's any. I could be wrong. This could be ignorant, but I don't really. I never really looked into it, but I'm pretty sure. I don't think we have no Ivy Leagues in the South. All the Ivies are up north. I think, right? I don't like. Up north and West Coast base, I believe. Because G went to Columbia, and I'm gonna look up Clemson University, set that up. Where is it? Let's do Clemson. Yeah, G said yeah. Yeah, I thought so. Shows you where the South education is in life. Shows you how they feel about us, right? Clemson University, tuition and fees. I believe I looked at Clemson like one time before. Like I really be surfing. Like it's weird. I do it so much or did it so much before. Like I remember. It's like the brain remembers in a way. And so Clemson. Have I ever heard of anybody from Clemson being known for something with education wise? We know sports, but education, they probably just known for sports too. It just so happened that they attract really, really smart people with me as an exception. No, you gotta be pretty brilliant. You know, that I think that's an Ivy League humble thing right there. Y'all go to Ivy League and say, I'm really all that smart. But then you know about the stock market, G, you know about you sat down with JP Morgan, or no, you sat down with Goldman Sachs, CTO, you know about JP Morgan. I'm pretty sure you know about like all the money, like the Vanguards and stuff, like Vanguard, BlackRock. I'm pretty sure you know all that, right? And then like most people who go to these schools, they're not even getting that information. Like I had to go seek it and find it. You know, like it's the Ivies. Usually y'all know about it. I don't know how, but I don't know if it's just incorporated in front of y'all, but y'all know. So you pretty man, you intelligent. Definitely intelligent. We don't all know everything, but we know most, right? And so Clemson University, well, that's because they attract a certain type of student. That doesn't mean we all smart. What you mean, G? You always talking in code. You be talking in codes, G. Like you talking codes, and I say, "What you mean?" And then you be like you don't want to say it, then you type it, and then I get it though. Talking in codes, make sure nobody come get you. I get it. You gotta be careful. I get it. I get it. But graduation rate for Clemson University was smarter than average. Smarter than average. Well, what's smarter than average? Yeah, I'm that type of person. I'd be like, what's smarter than average? So graduation rate, 84%. Clemson University It is Clemson University, right? Yeah. Clemson University graduation rate is 84%. That's higher than 58%, which is the midpoint, right? University 4 years right now is a midpoint for 58%. So they got a good graduation rate. Now, Clemson did say when you go to their school, you're going to pay about 22,000. Now the average is 19,000 for 4 years. They saying you're going to pay 22. I already got my calculator up. Now it's time to verify. It's time to verify. So full-time undergraduate. Remember, we focus on undergraduate. We know graduate school is going to cost a lot, or it's going to cost more than. We know graduate school is going to cost more than undergraduate. That's just a fact. That's because I'm more of a. Hold on. I'm more of a commercialist. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. It was, oh, my bad. I forgot to say I was kind of kidding. Like you be talking in codes. I wasn't. I know you can't type, and then you can't type that much anyway. It's like a limit. That's why I be typing certain things. I'll type it multiple times because we can't type that much in the comment section. I thought you could type how many words you wanted. I just gotta make sure. You know, we live in such a sensitive time now with people, G, and people take stuff literal. Yeah, I know, but some people they take it literal these days. You ever, man? I know you have, G. Like people are very serious these days. I'd be like, wow, you know, you have to be very careful with people. And then G said, a good friend of mine told me once, I'm the kind of guy you have to meet in person. Yeah. You'll be surprised. I've been told I got an old soul, and we're both from the South. Yes, G. I have to remember. Yes, and you told me, and you did just tell me we're not that far in age. We are basically the same person in this world. That's crazy, which is true, but we never would have met each other unless I did the live stream. So I should have been at the Ivy League too. That's what you're saying, G. I should have been at the Ivy League. So. Full-time undergraduate tuition and fees, full-time undergraduate tuition per semester. So they're saying, is that, okay, you're looking at, did they include, I don't know if they include housing. Let me look. Nope, they did not include housing. But they're saying for the 2024-2025 undergraduate year, this year that just passed, you were paying about $7,500 for school. $7,560 to be exact, but $7,560 times 2. That's already $15,000 for the year, guys. So if we include a basic like rooming and board in there, like room and board, dining facility, yeah, that's about right. Cause we know for sure they be charging like $3,000 out the gate for housing. So you gotta add $3,000 to both of those semesters, and so that's gonna be it's raining. Oh, I thought it was getting ready to rain. And so that's easily gonna increase your tuition if you add 3,000 if you add 3,000 twice to 15,000. That's 6,000. Cause that would be 6,000 for 2 semesters. Yeah, you're looking at about 21,000. You know, estimate. Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy. 20,000 for the year. I told you it'd be like 20,000 for the year. 10,000 per semester, 12,000 per semester. It's crazy work. It's crazy. So they are about right. Clemson is like on the college scorecard. That's about true and right. And then they're saying like if you are a student that received financial aid after 10 years, you're looking at a average income about 71,000 when you go to Clemson University. That's pretty good. But then again, 22,000 over the course of 4 years times 4 is 88,000. So, and they say you'll make about 71, but still that's a negative return on investment right there if you stay on campus all 4 years. And then keep in mind, most students don't stay on campus all 4 years. Let's be clear. But in case you do, that's what you're looking at, 88 grand. And so the retention rate, we talked about cost. Students return 93% of the time after their first year. We talked about the graduation rate. Typical earnings, we talked about that. And then 84% of the time, you're going to earn more than a high school graduate, of course. And then test scores, does Clemson require? Clemson has a 38% acceptance rate, which means it's pretty hard to get in there. They have the SAT, math, and ACT scores on here if you want to take a look at it. And so my understanding may be kind of skewed, but that doesn't seem too bad, right? What you mean, G? Like paying 88 grand for 4 years? 88 grand for 4 years, you mean? That's what you're asking? Or are you talking about the earnings? Yeah, Columbia is more than that a year. Yeah, for sure. The earning pay ratio. So with me, the way I view it personally, all right, I factor in like everything with my brain. So like I know like it all depends on, even schools will have this on their website too, G. When they talk about the earnings, like we don't know if they're talking about, I'm assuming they're talking about a general student leaving the school. But it gets very detailed, of course, when they go by major. Like somebody going to Clemson could be stepping out with a possibly six-figure salary. Some people could be stepping out with, they probably, like some people probably went to school to be a teacher. And so that's a bad return on investment because we all know teachers on average, fresh out of the gate, they're gonna make about what, 50,000 a year. And so, but their education was like 88 grand. But they always base it off financial aid students for some reason. Like, and they're saying like they are going to make an average pay according to the college scorecard, 10 years being removed. So I'm assuming after being 10 years removed from college, you're at your, I guess, best of pay in your career. You should be. And you're going to be making about, you should be making about 71,000. But I always think about the beginning when you get fresh out of school, if you're not in a high demanding career field and you pay all that money, because interest still has to accumulate and you still have to pay it back regardless of what salary you're starting off with. Because I know as a Georgia Tech student as well, and he told me like, open discussion. He was like, because we was all talking about, he's an architecture. And he was like, we was like, oh man, you finna make about 60K, 70K out the gate. And he was like, I wish. And he was like, nah, don't get me wrong. I think his pay is going, I was telling him, I think your pay is going to increase very rapidly. I'd be surprised if it didn't. But y'all see my bleach mark? So organic, so authentic, right? It's actually, I wear it so much, I think I got a hole in it. I wear it a lot. And so, yeah, he said he's probably gonna make about, I think he should make about 50 grand. And he was getting his master's. He'll probably go up and pay really fast. But that's the thing about it. And so I don't think it's good. Personally, if we view it from I seen you got commented, G, so I'm gonna say this real quick. Well, of course, the majors play a really big factor. Also, financial aid data is easier to track and delineate. Delineate. I think that's what you said. That's how I would say that. Delineate. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, exactly. And so, from a speaking on behalf perspective, though, I didn't even pay 80. I didn't even pay 50 grand for education. Like the total cost of it. LOL. I like your sweatshirt. Yeah, for architecture, work at a big firm, start your own firm, get your master's. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. I believe he's at a big firm. And so Hopefully it's panning out well for him. Cause he even said it too. I was talking to him because that's one of my I should have been doing. What I should have been doing. Appreciate that. What I should have been doing, I should have been writing this down, but I didn't want students to feel uncomfortable with it. I could have asked them if they wrote it down, but I know he said one of the things that highlighted to me, one of the things that stuck out to me. Oh, it's a little dark. I like to have blinds open a little bit, but look, it might rain. He said, before we get back on Clemson, he had said like, yeah, I was like, how you like it here? He was like, straight, blah blah blah. It's good. Felt like the education was worth it. I'm like, yeah. And then he was like, I just wish it didn't cost so much. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, they gonna charge you that fee. And so that's the only thing. So you could feel it off of student energy. They be thinking about like, man, I gotta pay this back. Like that'd be on their mind, man. Like after that first year wears off, they be like, I gotta pay this back. So from a speaking on behalf perspective, like I said, my 2 years at my community college, like chasing my degree, that cost me. I always say it. It's an old video on it, but I always say that cost me 6,800. You know, if you include an extra 1,400 or 2,000, like if you want to, because I did summer classes, but summer class was only like 700 bucks. That's why I said 1,400. It only cost me about $6,800, almost seven grand at my 2 year. You know, because I knew I wasn't going into no engineer career field. I had an idea. So when I was choosing my university, I paid because I was only at my university for a year and a half. So you already know, like I said, I paid like 5 grand, 2 semesters right there. Paid for summer. That was about 1,000 some. Then I did my last semester that fall. Paid about another 25. So I paid about that's five plus 25, 75. And then I paid about 8 grand right there. 8 grand at my 4 year at my bachelor's for at VSU. So 6,800 plus 8 grand estimate roughly. And then it was about I paid about 14,800. You know, because I ain't stay on campus. That cuts out a lot of your like make school really affordable. And so now I'm paying about I'm using some discounts now in graduate school. Like I say, it gets expensive in graduate school, but I'm only paying about once the military helps out with that. You know, or now the military helps with that. That pays about half of it pretty much, and so I paid the other half, which is about 1,500, 1,700. So you see how somebody over here talking about stocks now testing me. And so yeah, about 15 grand. That's really good, right? And so when I compare it to like these schools, I'm like, if you're gonna go to a college, right? As we keep talking about Clemson, if you're gonna go to a school, because we're on the earnings section. Oh, we really done with Clemson. And so real quick, we rate Clemson, ranking Clemson, I would rank them like going here 88 grand sticker price, depending on your major and the salary they're gonna get you. If you can make that salary, like them, they fall in that they'll get like, cause I think I don't know, man. That's a big salary they saying you gonna make out the gate. They'll just get C plus, but only a C plus. Like it's hard for a school to get really a high grade with me. Like if your tuition is great prices, and that's in my bump. If y'all tuition is a great price, you're gonna get a higher grade. But if it's not, like looking at the tuition alone, let me only factor in. So like even their tuition alone is $7,000. It's 75, which means you're 75, like that's 7,500 per semester, like tuition alone. Like remember, if you are simple for my people out there who are financial aid students. Your financial aid is gonna, if you get Pell, that's gone. That's gonna be almost gone in the first year. So now, granted, if you are Pell and it restarts, because I don't understand financial aid to the fullest, but I just know like when you exhausting it like that, it's a high chance that you're not gonna have it unless it restarts every year. I'm not even sure if it restarts every year because all I know is like it was getting shorter and shorter every year. It kept shrinking. So I just say keep that in mind, like the amount you're gonna get. So if you're not a financial aid student, do you have 70? If you're not a financial aid student, do you have $7,500 laying around? I couldn't, like me personally, if I was using my own money, I couldn't pay that by the time the next semester came around. I wasn't gonna be able to pay that. So I was making sure I stayed. That's why I made sure schools I could afford, like I can scrap up $1,500 or $2,000 in them. That ain't nothing, right? Like, but 7,500, that's a problem. So that's why it's like a C. It really should be a D, but I give grace, because they got these sports and stuff. I give grace, but yeah, that's really not. I wouldn't tell a student to go there. If I answer that question, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. I would start at a 2 year and then go there. But I would make sure it's one of those agreements and pathways. I would make sure their agreement and pathway is going to charge me what my 2 year charged me. And if it's not, I'm not going there. And when I transferred to another school, it got to be for me in this area, in the United States in Georgia. Because the income could be different out there in South Carolina, but it's the South. I know for sure it's not that much of a difference. So like, that's gonna be extremely hard. So yeah, they get a C plus. You're lucky they get a C plus. That's just cause he commented and gave y'all some he commented and asked a question about y'all like it's pretty good. So you get a C plus, but I wouldn't recommend those. Nah. Start at a 2 year and go to a school you can afford. Go to a school you can pay in cash with your own money. And then G said something else. At least back when I applied, oh, it took it away. G took the comment away. He retracted it. And so, yeah, it was something else I was gonna say. Oh, if you want to apply to a school, real quick before we go, if you're going to apply to a school, if you're going to go to a school, please consider what your career field would be. And I know it's hard because the average student changes their major. For my parents out there or students watching, or K-12 guidance counselors, if you're watching, the average student changes their major when they start college. They might say, I want to be a nurse, but after they go through some classes, like their first 2 years, I guess, they have a change of heart, especially with social media. Make sure they just general studies out the gate and knocking out some prereqs so it fits all of if they want to change majors. Please do that. A lot of people go wrong with that. They take classes out the gate, try to get a head start on whatever they're getting a bachelor's in, and that's a risk because if you end up changing your major, those classes won't transfer over. It's gonna make you stay in college longer. And there's more to it, but please consider that on the side note and pick a school that's gonna give you a great return on investment. If you go into a school that only has I know biomedical engineering, for example, a lot of schools don't offer that. So if you're going to a specific school for that, the price essentially is worth it because there's a lot of demand. It's not a lot of supply of schools teaching that. So it's going to be a very high demand for you when you leave the college. And then G said, at least back when I applied, I got the max financial aid every year, and it was up to 6 years, right? And I applied as an independent student, so I didn't need my parents or anything for anything. Okay. So, because I know when I did it, I didn't know if they kept giving me all of the same money every year. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know because maybe I was a little paranoid and stuff. I heard biomedical isn't actually that good of a major because of its niche. niche, innies. What they had, I'm assuming that word. What that word mean? I'm gonna Google it. I had a friend who did it at Columbia. He's in medical school now. Niche. Okay, niche. Okay, I thought that's what it was. Niche. Okay, it's not good because of its niche. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I didn't hear about it until I started working at Georgia Tech. And so, yeah, it's a very, I know it's not taught at every school. Like Embry-Riddle has it, I believe. MIT has it. Georgia Tech, of course. Columbia, just found out they have it. So if it's something unique, for example, like that one, well, the pathways are very limited, right? Okay. Like you only go so far, probably like industries and stuff. Okay. And so, but yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, guys. We'll talk tomorrow. We're gonna all be here tomorrow. And so, but I just wanted to say that on the end note, like when you pick a school and it's the only one offered, please consider that. Please, like really think about like if like who else is teaching this? Like because if it's like my degree, every college has a higher education degree. So it don't matter if I went to the most expensive one, it don't matter if I went to the cheapest one. It was offered at all schools. And make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe, please. And share the video. Tell people they're professionals in the industry. We really care about like where they went to school, how was it? Because every story is different, and colleges themselves are not doing this. I'll probably be the first person doing this, like building a pipeline of like we're all in the chat bouncing off of each other, like how your college experience was, and a lot of students face different experiences in college. So it's really helpful if you have a whole group, like a chat. It's G right now, but hopefully it's other people who went to different schools. Like they might have went to a rival school of G, or they might went to a public school like me, a 2-year like me, and we all have a community, and like questions that they can't get on the internet, which they can get from real people. On top of saving money in school. So that's gonna be dope, right? That's gonna be dope. And so then we'll get so good, school's gonna have to come to us. Then y'all could be interrogating the people when they interviewing. Not literally, but giving them a hard time. So we'll see each other tomorrow. We had a great discussion. Shout out to G. Shout out to everybody in the chat, first and foremost. Shout out to all of you, man. And once again, because without G and you watching, I saw we had like 3 or 5 people in here at one point. I just kept going because it's only right if somebody coming in and they don't know us, then they might subscribe. Please subscribe, like, and subscribe. And because it's gonna help us get our videos out there and we can keep doing this more, right? And so we just really want to build that and change higher education, because we already know in some cases, like, it might not, like, higher education might not really accept my methods. It's really unorthodox. So, and I went to school, I'm getting my master's, as you can see. So I have an idea what I'm talking about, but nobody's really listening until we do something that's revolution. This is gonna be a revolution. So I'm really looking forward to it. And then G said, I'm just teasing what you said before. My only school only rival is Harvard, and that's just because they have a MIT down the street. Well, you forgot, your school got a rival with me, because I went to Valdosta State and a 2-year college. We can put y'all out of business, G. Let me stop. We can, the 2-year college, we really better than Ivy Leagues. We save a lot of money over here, you know? So I'll see you all tomorrow. Once again, share with people, tell people, tell them don't watch the whole live stream, please don't. Fast forward the good parts that's catching your attention. If you want to watch the whole thing, I understand everybody busy, but show them like the good part so they can come watch us in the live stream. That's the main part, catching the live stream. And then we just go from there. So, and post it on your social media platforms. Because remember, guys, I'm not on Instagram. I got kicked off. I got banned off Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, please post it on Instagram, or like take some clips, remake them and stuff, because I'm not on that platform. So I'm on LinkedIn and X. And X is, I'm learning how to work that now. And so for talking like this, G, I guess I was talking like this. That's why I got banned. I'll post a screenshot on LinkedIn one day. If you're on LinkedIn or X, I'll post it. You know, just how random post. But yeah, I definitely got kicked off. I got proof on that. A lot of people was wondering that. A lot of people been asking me where I went on Instagram. The community I did have, it was small. And so, talking about this. And so, yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow. Peace.